What the hell?
You have to let it all go, Neo.
Subscribe to Hollywood Toys. Live the movies.
Well, greetings, Earthlings, and welcome to Hollywood Toys, the only place where you can live the movies. I am your host, Magic Mike, and welcome to my channel, where I do travel and entertainment vlogs, where I cover theme parks, comic and horror cons, movies, celebrities, action figures, video games, and more. And I also have some pretty cool action figure and movie merch as well. So be sure to subscribe to the channel as well as hit that notification bell so that you won't miss out on any future videos, live streams, or new product releases. So, now it's magic time. All right, folks, here we are. We are back at it again. Everybody, welcome to the show, including me, Magic Mike, your host, along with everybody else. So, yeah. So, welcome everybody for joining me in the chat. Good old Vic Rules in the Heezy. It's 6 p.m. Why it's not working? Well, guess what? It's working now. All right. And my good friend, the Carrie Show, is here. Intro time. Hi, Magic Mike. Hi, Miss Queen Carrie. And my other best good friend, Queersman26. What's going on? And, yeah. And she also says, hi, Queersman. So here we are, folks. First live that I've done in a while. Not in a Monday and not early afternoon. So, yeah. Um, and I don't have anything else going on, so I'm going to be able to concentrate on just the live and not be trying to do a million other things in the background at once while I'm doing my thing. So here we are. Okay, so welcome to the pre-show of the premiere. I got the new vlog that's going to be premiering at 8:30 Eastern time. It's finally here, folks. The last hurdle that I've been trying to get over for months and months and months is finally done. So now, just like on the video, I could proudly announce that I am going to be doing at least two vlogs a week or more from now on. It's going to be awesome. So, yeah, this is just the beginning. So I could finally vlog to my heart's content. That's right. So, I made a list of topics to talk about as well. So I'm a little more prepared this time, folks, believe it or not. It's a real thing. And also, before we get started, I do need to make a quick call. Okay. All right, here we go. Hopefully they answer. Come on, pick up. Yo, Morpheus, what's going on? It's your favorite YouTuber, Magic Mike here, just putting out the call to let the gang know, Neo Trinity, Cypher, and Agent Smith to tune into YouTube and tune into the live. And yes, I know, I'm the one. All right, I'll see you in the chat. All right, bye. All right, so there we have it. We'll have Morpheus joining us, or at least checking us out, and all that good stuff. Ready to live the movies. We're back. Woohoo! All right, and Carrie says she's looking forward to seeing The Clog tonight. I know she meant vlog. All right, so yeah, so tonight's vlog is going to be a kind of a summary, a kind of mini documentary on all the stress and struggles of the intros that I've been recording over these and working on and editing for the past weeks, past months, that I pretty much put anything on hold that I could and until I finish those and set out to finish those, and then there you go. So yeah, um, so so I gotta apologize in advance as it was kind of rushed because like I said, I've just been so drastically behind, and I just just itching and dying to get to making those other vlogs. So and part of the issue is because I'm trying to focus on like 7, 8 different things, since I have about 7 of these new intros that I created. So it was kind of difficult to try to make one video that is essentially about 7 different things versus if it was just a regular vlog focused on one topic, where it'd be much more smooth sailing, so to speak. So as a result, I recorded the vlog and pretty much talked about everything that I wanted to talk about for the vlog and talking about the experiences. But of course, the only issue with that is I wound up with about an hour and 10 minutes or over an hour of just me talking, and that doesn't not including the extra video bits that were going to be in the vlog on top of that. So I just been editing it down and editing it down because I wanted to try to get it close to like 30 minutes. And so I just started deleting all the boring stuff, the irrelevant stuff, so I can get to the good stuff. So there's a lot more that happened behind the scenes than I can include in the vlog. Vic says, Mike, don't show any clogs. All right, I won't. Oh yeah. So and then so yeah, spent the past like week trying to edit the vlog and whatever, which is going to include one of the new intros, and outros, of course. So it's going to be brand new reveal, brand new intros coming at you. And I'm not saying it's going to be terrible. I'm just saying, like, if it wasn't for me, spending weeks and months already just on these intros, or if I already uploaded a few vlogs recently, then I would take just a little bit more time to perfect it that bit much more, if that makes sense. So, so I didn't add music where I could have added music, and other little like touch-ups and tweaks that just would have taken me days and days and days, when I thought, okay, and it's raw form the way it is, I'm getting the message across, that's all that counts. Better to get the vlog out now so I can focus on finally getting to the other vlogs and being able to publish at least 2 vlogs a week. But I could always do a post live and kind of fill in the blanks and talk about the things that I cut out that is not in the actual vlog, if that makes sense. So, yeah. Mike. Oh, yep. So there's that. All right, folks. Thanks for joining me here today. So, so some announcements. So, one of those 2 vlogs that I'm going to be doing per week, that's going to be a permanent weekly thing, is going to be what I'm going to call Toy Talk Tuesday, where I'm going to be talking future oh no, that's what I'm going to be talking about now. Yeah, Toy Talk Tuesday, and that's going to be the day that I'm going to release and create my vlogs related specifically around action figures. So vlogs, doing action figure reviews, toy hunts, talking about upcoming figures, or any toy or action figure related topic. You can look forward to those types of vlogs every Tuesday, hopefully with the insane premiere episode that's going to start next Tuesday. So what do you say? Stay tuned for that, y'alls. That's right. Okay. So one of the things I want to talk about is my present and future shelving and figure display ideas and kind of the motivating factor behind things that I'm doing, that I want to do, etc. As well as a bit of an origin story in a way as to how I got into making the action figure diorama backdrops and things like that as well. Um, so when it comes to like the movie style Transformers that I have in my shelves, or Generation One Transformers, obviously, as you can see, they're clearly out of the package and displayed on my shelves with the backdrops, etc. But I do have some that are still in the box, but that's just temporary again until I can find and create, more shelving space and all that. Okay. So, so that kind of leads into kind of explaining my position in a way on how and why I collect action figures from my point of view and that kind of thing compared to other people, this, that, and the other. Now, you have all kinds of different collectors out there, different classes that collect different things in different ways. And not just action figures. You have people that collect shoes and hats and stamps and, whatever. And there's millions of different ways of displaying your collection, no matter what it is. So, but if you could kind of do a basic classification, it in a way kind of comes down between two different types of collectors. As you have people that collect mint in box, and all the figures they collect is nothing but in box. They never take their figures out of the box, and they just collect the boxes and they put them on display or whatever. And then you have people like me who, well, for the most part, going even more into the direction of unboxing everything and putting the figures on display on shelves loose, etc. Because the other way that one of my original ideas in the way I started collecting figures is, collecting the figures that are in the clamshell type of packaging, and then just posting them and tacking them into my wall as kind of like three-dimensional posters. And I would still probably stick to that format. I mean, when it comes to like non-Transformers related figures, like NECA figures, like the Terminator. I got the Terminator, both NECA and McFarlane, and I got the Matrix figures. I have all the Matrix figures from McFarlane and N2 Toys, minus the play sets. Just as I have some McFarlane of the movie Maniacs, etc. But over time, over the years, I realized one major issue with that, though, is the fact that the sun, like sun damage, sun weathering, I don't know what it is, that causes the clear plastic to have a yellow tint to them, sometimes a brown tint to them, and now it just becomes completely undisplayable in that way. So over time, I realized, man, I'm just going to be better off taking these out of the package and displaying them loose, which is going to be better than keeping them, in the package. Like, I don't see how it would make that much difference in value, which is another thing to mention. That's another main or major reason why people collect figures is for the value, especially the people that collect in box or mint in box and that sort of thing, but not me. Because, obviously, and if you a packaged figure is worth more than a loose figure, but it's still worth money, just not as much. Or at least that's how it used to be. I don't know if things are changing now, but yeah. So, but for me, I don't collect for the value. I collect the figures for my purposes of using them as decorative items to decorate my shelf and have cool looking shelf displays. So I just buy them because they look cool, with no intention of once I buy it, I'm buying it so I could store it away or keep it in a box and then I can resell years later, you know, ooh, for what, another $10 or $20 more than when I paid for it 10 or 20 years ago. And then, some collectors do that, and that's just fine. Or you might have some collectors who will do both. They'll buy a couple, one to keep, a couple of the same figure, one to keep for themselves in the box, and then the other one to sell off, or maybe three. One they could, flip if they get it at a nice price at clearance, and then they could sell it for more later, and then they have two more, and then one to keep for themselves, and then one they could sell in the future if it ever goes up in value. So for me, that's something I don't do and have no intentions of doing. Once I buy a figure with the intention of keeping that figure, unless in the future I just have no need or reason to have that figure anymore in the future. And then I started getting into doing the store and making prop items, and so pretty much anything that I make, well, most everything, at least 95+% of anything you see in my store, I first make for me, like an item that I would like, or an item that I, as a Terminator fan or Back to the Future fan, whatever, would make, that I would want to have. So as a Back to the Future fan, or just as a figure collector who wants to make more diorama style type of displays, not just stacking up my figures on a shelf, just a plain black shelf with nothing behind it to create a diorama scene. So I thought, man, you know what? There isn't really a whole lot of sellers out there on eBay or Etsy or anywhere else that makes figure backdrops made specifically for these types of figures, like what's known as 1/12 scale figures, the 6 or 7 inch tall figures, which most of the NECA or McFarlane style, type of figures are of that scale. So, um, So I decided, that's something that I want for myself. And then that's when I realized, that's what put me over the edge to get a decent, expensive printer, even if it's $600, $700, $800, to where I can print larger format, posters like that, instead of just a standard A4 printer that most people are familiar with, that people have, that just, print standard 8.5 by 11 sheets. So I just started looking for and coming up with, designs for action figure backdrops for mainly Transformers and things like that, because nobody else was selling them. Before I came along, it was just, mainly people that sold Detolf backdrops made just specifically for IKEA Detolf shelves. So for the non-collectors out there, they're these just basically glass shelves where each shelf is 15-inch wide by 15-inch tall by about 13 inches deep. And so there'd be sellers that would make 15-inch by 15-inch, backdrop printouts, themed to whatever figure, whether it be Transformers, Back to the Future, whatever. But of course, the only issue with that is, well, what about people like me who have these regular book-style shelves that are 23 inches wide and 27 inches wide and 36 inches wide and only 13 inches tall? So nobody out there was making diorama backdrops for these kind of shelves. So I was basically pretty much the first to break into the market by offering those size options. So that started that whole thing. And then the more I came up with ideas for backdrops, the more I realized when it comes to the figures that, are with the fading out, packaging is, once I build and get more shelves, I could take those out of the package, and I have a plethora of diorama backdrops from my store that I can use with my backdrops. If not, three-dimensional backdrop or three-dimensional diorama builds and things like that. So that's going to be coming down the line. So I mention that because at some point I'm going to take these figures out of the packaging, and it's not a box. It's something you have to use little scissors for to cut open the, whatever. So, but I have no idea when it's going to be to where I'll be able to get the, install the shelves, get new shelves, whatever. So I have about 40 of these things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a review of the figure and then show what I'm talking about and show the tinted, plastic, and basically do a kind of pre-review, so to speak, reviewing and talking about the figure as it sits in the package, but knowing that in the future, whether it's months later, years later, who knows, at some point now I can unbox those figures for a video and then be able to do another review out of the box, out of the package, etc. So I'm going to get two for the price of one, so to speak. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's that. And let's see what we got on my list. Now the other issue is, again, with the intent of keeping these in the package, and keeping them on the wall, it didn't really matter that now I have more than one version of the same character, because they have different clothes, come with different accessories. So, like, for example, out of just Terminator 2, I have a T-800 from McFarlane Toys, and I have like 2 or 3 different versions of the T-800 from NECA Toys. One in the leather jacket, one with the coffin from Terminator 3, and so on and so forth. So later, when I'm actually get down to it and I'm ready to start custom building my personal dioramas for these figures, when I'm ready to unbox them, it's going to then become a question of what scene, what diorama am I going to build, knowing that I have more than one T-800. So I'm going to have to, so am I going to have that many more dioramas taking up more space, or am I going to decide on just one or two and then wind up with 2 or 3 extra Terminators, even though they're different, that I don't know what to do with? So at some point, I'm sure I'm going to wind up with extra figures that I'm either going to throw away, sell, or maybe do as like a viewer or subscriber giveaway here on the channel of what I have left over that I cannot figure out any way of repurposing or doing anything with, if that makes sense. So there's that. So faded bubbles, and I talked about decorative versus value. I collect them for the decorative purposes and aspect. Plus, the other thing is I want to get some LED shelving lighting so that I can light each individual shelf, as well as other lighting I want to add to the display space. And that's why I haven't really done like a show or a room tour, because it's nowhere near the way I would like to have it to where I want it before, quote unquote, trying to show it off, if that makes sense. So yeah, getting rid of or / selling figures. Now, of course, there's always good to come out of, me trying to think. I'm always a forward ahead thinker. I'm always planning ahead. So, and then oftentimes, even when it comes to ideas for myself, that's in some way, shape, or form winds up becoming a future product that I could also add to the store. So one idea that I've been tinkering with lately is, aside from having just the regular flat paper printed backdrops, that I can start looking at how I can go about making additional diorama props, physical props, that can be placed within the diorama. So, like, for example, I have a few alleyway backdrops. Well, along with that backdrop, like making like little trash cans and dumpster, real physical prop dumpsters and trash and street signs and fire hydrants and things of that nature. So that got me thinking that, well, what kind of diorama props can I make that would also be printable and therefore something that I can print and make and offer with some of the backdrops or as separate set pieces that one could purchase from the store or be offered as an additional piece to go along with a backdrop. So I made up a list. New printable, yeah. So, for example, including making them for the Transformer scale, because that's a different scale. That's more like 1/35 scale. So, but mainly I'm thinking now of the 1/12 scale, 6, 7 inch types of figures. So making things like, magazines, newspapers, stacks of cash, pizza boxes. And I would classify those as not diorama props, but more along the lines of action figure accessories, that sort of thing. So, yeah. So for diorama prop set pieces and things like that, let's see here. We have like oil barrels or toxic waste barrels that, like, for example, I can create the print file for, so it'll be flat, and then you cut it out, and then you could like roll it over and tape it on the ends and turn it into a cylinder, a cone, and then that becomes would become a barrel and have different versions. I could have, just pure red, flammable with the little flammable, labels on them, or toxic waste. The possibilities are almost endless. Let's see, or let's say a snack machine, something that could easily be printed out on a piece of 8.5 by 11 sheet piece of cardstock, and then, gets folded and formed into basically a box shape. And then there you go. You'd have it, because they're basically, that and a Coke machine, those are basically square shaped, or however one would want to do it. If you wanted to physically make one out of like a small cardboard box that would otherwise would have been trash, that you could paint black and then cut just the front piece of the Coke machine and paste it onto that box. And that's what's great about this stuff, is it's all malleable and it's all flexible. There's no wrong or right way of it has to be put together this way. You could customize it and build it however you want, and I can kind of sort of help provide the tools, so to speak, in order to make it happen. So there's that. The dumpsters that could be made out of paper, like basically paper craft type items. And again, you can there'll be the option to just use just the paper and print it out on cardstock paper and fold it up. Or if you want it to actually be thick like a dumpster would, you can find free cardboard anywhere and make the dumpster out of cardboard. In fact, that's one thing I'm going to do. I'll make a video of it, a sort of tutorial of how I made, or I'm going to make, a 1/6 scale prop dumpster. And first make it out of cardboard, and then and again, this will be one of those things where there's multiple options. There's, again, will be the full printout of the actual dumpster, whatever color, and infinite, not infinite, but like many different options. Because some of them are green, some of them are some dumpsters are green, some are blue, some have different like company logos on them, the waste management logos. So I could have like a few different options for those. Some that could be weathered, some that could have graffiti sprayed on it. They'll be weathered and nasty looking, right? And then, but make a printable version to where just out of the paper alone, without having to build anything, you could, twist and shape and form it into the dumpster out of the different pieces. Or you could build it out of cardboard and then cut those pieces out and attach them to and just line them out, use them as stencils. The printed pieces on the piece of cardboard, stencil it out, cut it out, and then even use like Scotch tape to tape over the edges of the cardboard, and then you could either use paint or a marker, a green marker or a blue marker to color in over the tape, and then put the printed panels on there. Or you could paint the entire thing, and then I'll have an option to where I'll be able to make either just the label by itself. So you could paint the entire cardboard structure whatever color you want. You could weather it down however you want. And then I can have just the labels of the dumpsters that you could stick on there as well. So plenty of different options. So that's what I'm going to be looking into doing, and that sort of thing. So street signs, cardboard boxes, liquor boxes that, again, will be easily... So I'm just talking about, again, printable items that once I make the print file, there'll be a couple different options. I'll make them as physical print sheets that I can add to the store that I would ship out. That'd be option one, and it'd be DIY. So you would have to cut it out yourself and fold it and put it all together, so that way it could be shipped flat, and it's a win-win. It won't cost as much for me to ship it out, and the price will also reflect that and keep that in mind. Or also make them available as digital versions that you could purchase and download, and you can print them yourself if you have a printer and want to do it that way and save money that way either way. So I realized I can go through all the movies of the figures and look for specific items that I can make specific to that figure. And one of those I'm going to share with you right now, which is going to become a future review video, and that is good old Chucky here. So usually I have this hanging on my wall. So this is one I've already clearly taken out of the box. So I got this a few years ago from Target. There's what it looks like on the back, and then it has the front. And of course, look at that. Different heads from the different versions of from the various movies. You got the infamous ruler that he uses to kill the teacher in part 2, different hands, all the various weapons that is used throughout the movies. So I'm going to be doing a detailed unboxing review, pulling everything out, swapping out all the heads, showing all the different ways that you could display it, and just like that. So this will be sort of a pre-teaser, little mini unboxing review. But yeah, so it comes with this doll box, and then there he is. And of course we have the non-possessed version. Pretty awesome detail, for a figure. So for my unboxing figure reviews, what I'm going to do is I'm going to print out one of whatever relevant action figure backdrop that would go with that figure, and then place that on my table and stand it up and flip the camera around, and while displaying and showing the figure, you're going to see the backdrop behind it. so you can see it for yourself, as well as a way of promoting and selling my backdrops by doing the review and showing the figure against whatever backdrop it is. And then, obviously, hey, if you like this backdrop, you can order it from the Hollywood Toys Facebook fan page, etc., etc. So it does take a bit to pop his head off, but well, there it is. So yeah. Um. So I already do have a backdrop ready to go, and that'll be the other thing is, um, I'll be doing basically, along with my action figure reviews, I'll be doing product releases where, I'll be showing one of my new backdrops, and I'll say, this one is either in the store or is coming to the store soon, whatever it is. So I have one from the factory from part two. So that one I just have to re-add to the store, do a bunch of stuff and whatever. So it got me thinking, what other props can I make to go along with this, like Chucky, right? Or what other kind of dioramas can I make? So, like for example, and that's again another issue. It's just one figure, one doll, but so many potential diorama scenes that can be created because you have everything from the very beginning of the first Chucky, Child's Play, 1988. You have the toy store that they go into, or that Charles Lee Ray escapes from the cop from and gets the doll and passes his soul into the doll, right? So how cool would it be to recreate that display of all the good guy doll boxes, all lined up, stacks and stacks of boxes, the stacks of boxes that Charles Lee Ray falls into and knocks over as he's dying right before pulling out the doll and doing the chant, right? So it wouldn't be nothing but a thing to be able to recreate these boxes and again make print files for, make physical versions of. So that way, let's say you wanted a bunch of these doll boxes, but not at the cost of having to buy anywhere from 10 to 20 of these figures at $30 to $50 a pop. Who knows what they're going for now? Because, I don't think they manufacture these anymore. So any of these that you would want to get would have to be secondhand and off eBay or Amazon, Poshmark, all those. And I don't see that's funny. I don't see a release date on here. Usually it says Child's Play 2, 3, blah, blah, are trademarks, a Universal, the movie. Oh, well, Seed of Chucky, 2004. Focus features, licensed by Universal. The Chucky franchise, parental advisory, a note to parents. The movies are rated R, no crap. Made in China. Yeah, there's no year on here. That is weird. Usually they have a year on these things. But yeah, instead of having to spend hundreds of dollars just to get a bunch of dolls, I can make these and then have a printed 2D insert of the doll that you could put in all of the in here, right? Because you're looking at stacks and stacks of boxes, unless you're like looking right, are just a couple inches away, you wouldn't be able to tell between a real figure doll being in here versus a cut out one just made out of paper, and just be able to stack those up. That or recreating the pallets of all these doll boxes in the toy factory. See what I mean? Like so many different possibilities. And the other thing I don't like about this box is the fact that when he's in here, he just kind of jiggles around. So I definitely want to modify this box and get some more cardboard inserts to kind of like fit them in there more snugly. So at some point, we're going to do that because that's the only uh, down downfall to this. Vic says Spirit Halloween sells those year round, I'm sure. Probably, but year round? I would love to see a Spirit Halloween that's open year round. Here in Florida, they only pop up in maybe late September, and then they move out of the building right November 1st, November 2nd. So, yeah. So, yeah, what I was saying is like so many different choices of a diorama scene. So there's the toy store, and then there's Andy Barclay's apartment and recreating the birthday scene where it's his birthday. But so much more involved. So I thought I could recreate the birthday wrapping paper. I can create the miniature of the tool chest. NECA actually sells blind boxes of so many Chuckies. Are you talking about these? Or the life-size ones? Which, by the way, the Spirit Halloween Chucky sucks balls. Oh, I hate that. I hate that Chucky with a passion. But it's like, I get it, but I don't get it. I would think it wouldn't cost that much to manufacture a doll that's 3.5 ish or 4 feet tall. I mean, it's not small, but it's not big. Like, how much does it really cost to get a final sculpt or mold and make recast of those like they do in stores of regular dolls, that you could buy at Walmart for $30 or $40 or whatever it is. But like, why is it always have to cost so much to get even something that's remotely close to a screen accurate looking Chucky? Because the Spirit Halloween one, it just doesn't like I could just take one look at it and be like, nope. I mean, it's close, but there's a different, but it's like similar. Like, it almost looks like it's a doll head taken from a completely different doll. Like, in other words, it would look like something that would be like a fan-made type of doll. Like if a screen-accurate version of the doll wasn't available, but this doll was found like a My Buddy type head, and this is what we can make do with. But yet any screen-accurate looking doll of Chucky, starts at like minimum like $400 up to $800, depending on who you get it from, where you get it from, if you get it from a customizer or if you get it from Trick or Treat Studios and everything like that. Yeah. So when it comes to the little mini guy, though, I thought, what if I want to recreate Andy Barclay's apartment? With the presents and then the TV that has the Good Guy show playing. I could make a print file for a TV that, once again, will be you can like cut the thing out and fold it into a TV. Or again, if you want to make a small little TV out of cardboard and then just cut the front of the piece and put it on the front, and then make the furniture, make the love seat and the coffee table and all that stuff. So I've been looking on YouTube for like ideas for diorama making tutorials and things like that. So that's the kind of is going to delve into the next topic, talking about physical diorama builds, beyond just printing something. So the next thing on the list is so making and building physical props that can in turn will become future videos for the Toy Talk Tuesday, for example. Making physical props and items and miniatures of things. for said dioramas, right? So I'm the type of guy that when it comes to any project that I want to work on, I want to make a video, I want to film, a diorama I want to make, I always start from the bare bottom and think, okay, how can I make with the least amount of money, if I can help it, no money at all, with found or free materials? What can I make with literal trash? And if there's nothing I can find, then I go to the next cheapest thing, so I'm definitely gonna look around in like the Dollar Tree for usable items. A lot of the videos that I've been watching of other diorama builders and collectors that, show different things that they have gotten from cheap places like the dollar store and how they used it to build pieces of their diorama or for cheap action figure accessories and things like that, right? So, so one topic or one term in the world of action figures and dioramas and things like that is diorama fodder. So just what I was talking about, what, items that already exist that could be made into whatever you want to make into that would otherwise be thrown away, free items, whatever. So I started by looking around the house, looking at, disposable items and thinking, what part of this packaging or container this can potentially be used to make and manufacture diorama props, pieces, whatever. So one of those being bottle caps or containers to everything from drinks to food containers, medicine caps, toiletry caps, and things like that. So, like vitamin lids that are a lot wider and thinner. So, like, for example, so I looked at stuff like that and I thought, oh, if I found one wide enough, this type of cap, that could become the top of a bar stool, for example. Or I have an aftershave container that has like a small silver, like lid on it. It's about that big. And I looked at that and I thought, now that looks like that could be like a trash can for like a office diorama. If I wanted to make a computer desk, computer chair, that would make the perfect trash can. Things of that nature. And again, coming from things that would otherwise normally be thrown away once it's done being used. So therefore, nothing that would have to be paid for. So, so that's just like one example, or another would even be napkins from fast food places. And I thought this would make the perfect fabric for making couches and love seats. Because, again, thinking back to Child's Play and Andy Barclay's apartment, the furniture has brown fabric. So basically the idea is to get pieces of cardboard, and the great thing about cardboard is you could cut out pieces and you can glue them on top of each other and make panels as thick or as thin as you want. You can make them as big as you want, even easier than even balsa wood that you would need a saw and machinery to cut up. But with, cardboard, especially something that's going to be covered up anyways, so cutting like 2-inch by 2-inch squares that I could glue together, then taking this material and wrapping it around, and that can become the sides of the couch or the love seat, make a bigger piece for the back, and then make bigger pieces for the cushions on the bottom and whatever. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to, and that's the mission, to see how much I can actually make without spending any money, but coming up with something that looks like something that you would, buy somewhere, or that could be sold or whatever. And then, of course, I'm going to record myself doing it, and then therefore it'll become yet another perfect piece of content for Toy Talk Tuesday, a a sort of tutorial, but a tutorial of something I have myself have not done before and have just seen other people do it. And then, it'll turn into a tutorial if it turns out looking great. And the great thing about this is, sure, it is napkin, so it's not like quite as durable as fabric, and it can tear if you're not careful. But I'm going to wrap everything around and just use tape in the back. So on the bottoms and the backs of the cushions, you're not going to see that anyways. So if I'm ever moving stuff around and I accidentally poke a hole or tear it or whatever, it'll just be nothing but a thing but to reapply this or whatever. Or if I ever come across actual fabric laying around somewhere for free, I could redo the whole thing in a stronger fabric if, I need to. And then I also wanted to make love seat comforter chairs for my Back to the Future Doc Brown mansion interior, because he has red seats like that, and doing the same thing, except his are red. So I would wrap the cushions and wrap everything in white napkin, and then just take a red Sharpie marker and color over the white, and then make them red. So that'll be another potential fun little project / video, etc. And You Can't Find Jack 1923 has joined us and says, hello! Hello! You Can't Find Jack 1923, one heck of a name. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you got a chance to subscribe here to Hollywood Toys, the only place where you can live the movies, where I do travel and entertainment vlogs, covering theme parks, comic and horror cons, movies, celebrities, action figures, and more. And right now we're talking action figures for my vlog pre-show that I'm doing before the premiere of my upcoming vlog coming soon. That's going to be premiering in just over an hour, 8:30 p.m. So we're going to end the live right before that premiere, and we could take the conversation over there, where the vlog is basically going to be talking about my struggles with my past few filming projects, and you're going to see some little teaser clips of, some of the things. You're not going to see everything, but you're going to see just enough, just to give you an idea, just to give you a taste of some of the cool things that you're going to have to look forward to as I start pumping out more content and everything like that. Oh, yeah. Woo, woo. Oh, yeah. All right, so what is next on the list of topics? So we got that diorama fodder, and we talked about we're going to be doing an unboxing detailed review of this figure, along with the release and reveal of at least one new Chucky figure diorama backdrop that you can get for your collection. Okay, another fun and kind of controversial topic also that I'll be doing for Toy Talk Tuesday is the topic of, and the question of, is toy collecting immature? As any collector out there watching, I'm pretty sure, has stories of, because again, I don't want to sound sexist or anything, but when it comes to action figure collecting, it is generally a male-dominated hobby, even though there are some lovely ladies out there who also collect, but for the most part, it's guys. And it's a common thing for the females out there to be like, oh, collecting toys and figures is so immature and childish and yada, yada, yada. So I'm going to dedicate one of my Toy Talk Tuesdays to that subject and answering that question. Is it immature? Is it not? And the answer won't be as simple as you think. Especially, and which is going to be surprising coming from a guy who is biased toward it, because I do collect my toys and my figures. So I'll just say right now, there is no definitive answer. There is no definite no or definite yes, and I'm going to explain what I mean by that and how I mean by that, because I'll just say that for the question of, if you were to ask me, do I think collecting toys and figures is childish and immature? All I would say is, well, it depends. And that is what I'm going to talk about. That it depends part in full detail and depth on one of the Toy Talk Tuesdays. So I can't wait to hear what your guys' thoughts on it are going to be, because it's going to be a good one. You know, a chance for me to rant on that subject that I've for years been wanting to do some sort of public video addressing and talking about that. The wonderful world of immature toy collecting. That's right. So yeah. Now, getting back to collecting for the value and getting back to that subject, because you also have collectors who will, basically scalpers, you know, and that doesn't necessarily have to be said in a bad way. Doesn't automatically mean, oh, criminal, scammer, whatever. Like, pretty much anybody, let's say, that sells on eBay, the resellers out there who will go to flea markets or thrift stores or yard sales to find stuff super cheap so that they could list it on their eBay store and then sell it and flip it and make a profit. You know, that's how they make money, you know. So technically, you know, any reseller, anybody who buys something at a cheap price and sells it for higher is a scalper. You know, is that a bad thing? Is it a good thing? That's a whole other topic of debate right there, and controversy. The toy scalpers out there, the people who specifically buy whatever it is cheap, but especially toys, and it's a sore spot in the community. And that could be this whole other video as well for a future Toy Talk Tuesday. So yeah. Yeah, okay. So when it comes to that, some people collect for the value, some people collect figures, but then they'll buy figures with the intent of later selling it at a profit, you know, whatever. And so that's typically the known most common way of making money with toys or with figures, is you buy it, but now you've paid for it. But the only way to make it, if you couldn't live with the cost of what it cost you to get that figure, then your only choice is to then resell it again, you know, or whatever, right? But for me, I don't collect for the value of the figure. So, and this is just one common thing amongst almost anything that I buy is, you know, I'm still going to make money from the figure that I already bought while still getting to keep the figure. In other words, like I said, you know, I already bought them, I paid for them, obviously, but as I go through, and I make a video doing reviews of each figure while also talking about and displaying the action figure backdrops that I sell that goes good with said figure. So even if I make one sale or one extra sale or two extra sales of that one backdrop as a result of that video that I made with that figure, then I've already made my money back from that figure. And now, as long as that video exists throughout time, as more people become subscribers and customers and either buys that backdrop or any backdrop from my store, because they discovered me on YouTube that otherwise wouldn't have discovered me, now the toys are going to pay for themselves. So that's something that I also keep in mind whenever I do want to buy any future figures, that I know that, okay, it's an investment now, because now it's going to be used for the channel. It's going to be used to help market and promote my store as well and my action figure items. And, or not just with the video, will also result in more products being made or more ideas for products, which in turn will turn into obviously more profit, more income, and that sort of thing. So, like, as an example, for the first episode of Toy Talk Tuesday, I'm going to be doing a review of a figure that I just picked up recently while I was out filming video for toy-related stuff, where I wasn't toy hunting, I wasn't looking for a figure to buy, and it just happened to be there. And it was a figure that I did see at the Orlando Collector Fest convention that I went to a while back, and I passed up, knowing that. And the thing about me when it comes to spending money on anything, like, I don't have that FOMO, that fear of missing out. That if I don't buy this thing that I know I want, if I don't buy it now, I'll never see it again. Like, I'm smarter than that. I could always put off any purchase, especially when it comes to toys. You know, I can go to a million toy conventions and I can see toys that I actually want, but I know that at any time I could just go to eBay later. I could go here. I could go to many different sites and find that figure again. Because, you know, I keep in mind that they've made hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of these things that are, you know, sent to stores all across the world. So they're not this holy grail where it's only one of 10 that literally, if I don't buy it now, I'll never see it again. So I can relax. I can, you know, I don't have that, oh, I got to have it now. You know, even if I'm doing good financially, you know, if I could still hold it off, you know, I will. But so in that case, I'm like, I made the exception because of the fact, okay, now here it is in a store. And when it comes to the NECA figures, it's not like, well, it depends. Like, sometimes you might see one or two of that particular figure every once in a while. Sometimes you'll see stacks of them, but it's kind of rare. So I thought, maybe I should buy it now, because if I don't buy it now at retail and I want it later, then I will wind up probably having to pay that much more, you know, extra in shipping and, you know, as well as more in value and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to buy it. Even though I still could have waited. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like, I wanted it, but it's just that I have so many other things that I need to get, you know, for myself, for the business, for the channel, you know, nothing like emergency, like I need it yesterday. You know, it can wait, but the sooner I can get them, the better. And it would just take, you know, too long and forever to explain, right? So, I still got it, reluctantly in a way. But later on, I started feeling better and better about it because I realized, okay, obviously I can do one of my vlogs with the new purchase. But then I realized, oh, I don't have any action figure backdrops yet made for this figure from this franchise that I don't have any figures of yet, but was on my to-do list of at some point. I, you know, was planning on making diorama backdrops for that franchise. But now that I got it, now I have the motivation to get it done sooner than later. Then that also led to me thinking of, oh, and I can also make diorama props along with that, you know, as well. So sometimes after buying something, it'll then suddenly spark additional things and items that I can make that I'm going to add to the store. So now, because of buying that item, I'm going to make that much more money in sales from new products that was inspired because of the fact that I bought the figure that I otherwise wouldn't had any motivation or reason to do in the first place if I didn't buy it. So I almost kind of look at it, if I passed on it and still held off on it and didn't buy it just then I would have lost money. As crazy as that is to even say out loud, it sounds kind of crazy, but yeah, I would have lost money. I wouldn't have thought of the additional products and items I can make when it comes to that figure. Because then one idea also gets translated to other franchises. So what I mean by that is that kind of led to the idea of making physical props for that particular figure, but then that idea translated over to other franchises, and that led it to the idea of, oh, I can make diorama props for the Child's Play figures. Oh, I can make diorama props for Jurassic Park figures. Oh, I can make props for the Back to the Future stuff, and on and on and on. So sometimes it's so funny how one idea that by itself would have made more money or been more stuff for my own personal collection that I could, really sink my teeth into, that just has this this effect, this, I can't think of the word for it right now, where it just branches out, and it's a compounding effect, so to speak. Yeah, if that makes sense. So yeah. What else we got? And then the other thing I was thinking about too is I was thinking about how funny it is that when it comes to stuff that I spend money on, when it comes to items that are non-essentials, so I'm not talking about anything but food, water, clothing, rent, electric, car insurance, gas, and all that stuff. But when it comes to items that are non-essentials that you don't have to spend money on, like I don't have to spend money on a toy, but when I do, I wind up making money as a result of buying that. So any action figure that I already have to any future purchases is just going to lead to me making more money. It's an investment, right? But it made me realize, I tried thinking, there is nothing I could think of that I either have spent my money on recently or want to spend money on the future that isn't going to somehow be reconnected to me being able to monetize that thing that I bought. When it comes to video games, I buy myself a video game that would otherwise just be it's a non-essential. You don't need an extra video game, and that would just be a cost of whatever it is, $20 I'll never see again. But now, once again, for the channel, what does that become? That becomes content for a gaming stream for the channel, which in turn will lead to more subscribers, which in turn will lead to more potential customers. And you can see the effect always somehow comes back to that purchase in some way, shape, or form. I'm going to make the money back on, and even make more of my money back on. Or when I wanted to go back to Universal and wanted to get passes, it wasn't until I thought of the idea of, wait a minute, if I buy passes, I could take my high quality camera and take pictures of everything in the park that I think I could turn into some kind of product, like a poster or a shirt or a mug or item, whatever it is. And I did exactly that. And now I have a ton of Universal themed items. And I made a tally of all the money made from just those items. So now, in a year's time, I make about the same in the profits from just the Universal items as it takes to buy the pass in the first place. So the pass has already paid for itself and will continue to pay for itself, because, I don't have to keep getting passes in order to, I already have the items. I can now sell those items over and over and over again for the rest of my selling life without having to constantly, always be, buying passes or whatever. Or I'm trying to think of like another example. But that's about it. Like, there's nothing I spend money on, that's just the cost. It's just for the fun of it. And then that's it. Even taking a vacation. If I want to travel somewhere, I'm traveling somewhere like a movie location that I'm going to make into a YouTube video. You see, as well as take pictures of the locations that I could turn into more action figure backdrops. So therefore, essentially a paid vacation where I'm going to more than make the money back I spent toward that vacation. So even a vacation is not just I spent that $2,000 and that's money I'll never see again. No, that money is going to come back and then some. So yeah, there's nothing I could think of that I spend money on that, again, in some way, shape, or form, that money isn't going to be coming back plus a little bit more. So, yeah. All right, folks. I think that's going to about wrap things up for the vlog pre-show. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you are all subscribed to the channel, and hope you have a chance to check out the vlog, which is going to be premiering shortly in about an hour. So there it is. Oh, and before I forget as well, let's see. Yeah, gotta find it, gotta find it. In case anyone has missed it or isn't aware of it. But check out my first ever interview on a different channel. Theme Park Rants. And no, I don't mean me interviewing somebody. This is a theme park channel, Theme Park Rants, that has been a fan of mine for years and messaged me and asked me if they could interview me for their channel. So that was like from a couple weeks ago or so, if you haven't checked it out already, and had some fun with those guys. And we'll also be doing future vlog collabs, with them. They live in Florida, so we're going to do some Disney and Universal meetup vlogs, collab vlogs, and that sort of thing. So there'll be more coming between them and me and the both of us. So I'm pretty excited for the direction of the channel and where I'm finally going to be able to start taking things, and glad that I finally finished catching up on everything. But I'm like 95% caught up on stuff, but the major hurdle was finishing this last update vlog, which took a lot out of me. So again, I apologize for the crudity of the video. It could have been a lot better, but I just wanted to get it done. So I was up till like 4 in the morning yesterday, determined to get it done, rendered, and whatever. So lots of technical issues. I had it done by like 1 in the morning, and then just when I thought it was all good to go and I could start rendering, of course, issues. No surprise. That's what I should call this Hollywood issues, because it's nothing but constant issues and hurdles and challenges that are always, coming my way and preventing things from, whatever. But I still make it work. So, going to be uploading a ton load of shorts within the next few days, maybe another vlog or two. But again, at least 2 vlogs a week. And now that I put it out there, that's what I've set out to do. So I'm going to stay committed to that. And once Toy Talk Tuesdays start, that will be something you could count on for every Tuesday. A vlog talking about action figures and toys and things and whatever. So yeah. So thank you everybody for tuning in. I love you all, and if you enjoyed this live stream, then please consider subscribing to the channel for more videos like this one, and leave me some comments. Give it a thumbs up and share the video. You can also follow me on all of my other social media, as well as visit the Hollywood Toys online store. The links to those are in the description box below. So now, stay tuned for even more amazing Hollywood Toys videos right after this. And to everyone out there watching, this is Magic Mike, reminding you to live for your family and friends. Live your best life, and live the movies. You know what I mean? Yeah. All right. See y'all later.
You have to let it all go, Neo. Subscribe to Hollywood Toys. Live the movies.